Hello everyone, in this video we'll be outlining a Skyrim Wildlander custom class that I like to call the War Priest. They are sworn servants of the Divines who mainly use a combination of restoration magic and their skill with the battlestaff to heal and buff themselves and their allies, while also putting out a high amount of damage, especially against the undead. We'll be explaining how to set up this build along with its pros and cons, so you can try it out for yourself in your own Skyrim Wildlander adventure. Let's get started. For this build, Imperials are my recommendation for race. Their excellent stamina management allows for you to focus most of your level ups to health and magicka, making them well-rounded casters and fighters. They begin with plus 10 in restoration, so you can immediately use apprentice level spells effectively. For Standing Stone, I recommend the Mage. The additional magicka pool makes casting much easier and allows you to focus on health for your level ups. To begin, I would put 3 perk points in the restoration tree, 2 points in alchemy, and 1 in alteration, although you can change this to whatever fits you best. And I'm going to go ahead and show the early game level ups that I chose. So for level 2, I would get haggling and speech. Level 3, you want to get two-handed, same for level 4. Level 5, put a point to evasion. Level 6, speech. Level 7, you want to get dual casting and restoration. Level 8, you want to get a point to illusion. This will be important for getting blur later on to reduce damage from archers. Level 9, again, to alchemy. Level 10 and 11 will go to alteration. And then level 12 and 13, you're going to go into two-handed with a warhammer focus. That's kind of the perk point spread for the early game, but we're going to explain how to invest perk points later on as well. Now, some of the pros of this build are that you have really strong healing and buffing magic, you put out a high amount of melee damage, and the battlestaff actually has the highest swing rate of any two-hander, even faster than greatswords, while also doing blunt damage, which is pretty effective against most enemies, especially late game enemies. The other pro is that this is very good against the undead, so Draugr, vampires, anything like that are going to be very easy to deal with for this build. Now, some of the cons are that you have a low armor rating since you're going with evasion, and then you're probably going to be using robes and maybe even a hood, so your armor rating is not going to be very high, and as a result you're going to be weak to ranged enemies. You're also going to have limited ranged options yourself. I would probably go with a crossbow, as bows take a few more perk points to get going, but you're probably going to be using your restoration spells to fight undead more, but against other normal enemies you won't have as many options with ranged damage. Alright, so now we're going to take a look at the perk trees I had by reaching late game with this character. And we're going to start with Restoration. In Novice Restoration, I would get Healing Aura on self and Healing Aura on target. Healing Aura on target also makes it so followers will get back up if they take a knee in battle, so they will keep fighting on. You can also get Arcane Ward at the Novice level, and this will help defend from archers, at least until you get Blur from the Illusion Tree. Now at Apprentice level in Restoration, I would get Heal Self rank 2, and you can also get Sunfire. This is a really good ranged attack against the undead, and one thing I like about it is if you accidentally hit followers with it, it doesn't damage them like a destruction spell would, because it only affects the undead. So you won't accidentally kill your followers if you cast this. Another one that's really good to get early on, you can get this pretty much as soon as you start, is Benefactor's Insight. You can dual cast restoration spells to augment their power by 125% for double magicka cost. I think I would actually first get Focused Mind. This will let you keep your concentration while running or sustaining damage, nullifying your magicka penalties, and your magicka will regenerate 50% faster. So maybe get Focused Mind first, then go for Benefactor's Insight once you've gotten a couple level ups. Now for Adept Restoration, this is when the Restoration School really starts popping off. You can get Heal Self 3, Healing Hands 2, but the really good spells I'd recommend in this level are Sunfire Cloak and Sunburst. Now, Sunfire Cloak creates a constant effect that damages undead around you, and Sunburst is basically a stronger version of the Sunfire spell that is a lot more expensive to cast, but does a tremendous amount of damage and also has an area of effect as well. Another spell that's nice to get is Healing Ray. This gives you a really good healing spell that you can use on your followers that just shoots a beam of healing right at them. So I would get those. And when you get to level 50 in Restoration, you can get this Power of Life perk. This gives you a once-a-day power that I would recommend just keeping on standby whenever you're going into battle or into a dungeon. It cures all poisons and heals you up for 12 seconds, so this is just a really good save my ass, you know, panic button, essentially. A few other perks that are good to get once you're level 50, obviously Improved Healing is good, and Respite, you get this at level 75. This will restore both health and stamina. So those are definitely good to look into. Let's move on to Alteration, and for the Novice in Alteration, I would get Mage Armor, but what you want to do with the Mage Armor rank 1 is you don't want to use the spell itself. What's more effective is to do the spell research on it and make a scroll. For that you'll need paper rolls, a quill, and ink. But the Oak Flesh Scroll gives you 90 points of armor, which is way more than you'll get from just casting the Mage Armor spell itself. The other novice spell I would pick up is Candlelight. This is a convenient light source, especially considering the fact you're using two-handed, so you don't have to be holding a torch when you're in those darker areas or moving around at night. Next, we're going to go to Apprentice Alteration, and one of the most important spells you're going to get for this build is Transmute Muscles on Self. This fortifies your health and your carry weight, and it will also scale with your Alteration level. So as you get better with Alteration, your Transmute will get better as well. The other one I'd recommend is getting Knock rank 1, because we're not really going to be doing lock picking, so I would get Knock rank 1 for opening lock chests and doors, but you can also get Scrolls of Knock that do the same thing and are probably a bit stronger. I would also get Empowered Alterations once you're at level 25. This lets you dual cast them, makes them more effective, and you can also get some magic resistance that's just nice to have all around. And that's basically it for the Alteration tree. For Enchanting, I just got a single point there. This lets me recharge my battlestaff, which you should definitely have an enchantment on your battlestaff. I like to go with fire damage because it's just the best, but you can go with whatever fits your style or how you want to interpret the build. But just get that 1 point to Enchanting, that's all you need. Don't need anything in Smithing or Heavy Armor. In Block, I just got 2 perks here, so Improved Blocking mitigates a little more damage, but then also Power Bashing. So this lets you, while you're blocking, to Power Bash an enemy and you can stagger them. It costs a little bit of stamina, but it's a nice tool to have in your arsenal. Now, probably your most important skill is going to be your two-handed, and here what you want to do is, once you get these, you want to put points into Warhammer focus, because battlestaffs are actually classed as Warhammers in the current version of Wildlander, and you're going to want to get as much extra power attack damage and armor penetration there as you can. And then just get the rest of these two-handed perks as you progress. You can use combat dummies in the towns to train up your skill in two-handed very quickly, so that's what I'd recommend for that. One-handed we're not really messing around with, same thing with marksman, we can ignore that. Now we get to Evasion, and we are going to be using Evasion-based armor, so you're going to want to get Agility pretty early on, and then you're going to get Finesse after that, and by the time you get level 50 you get Dexterity and Agile spell casting. This will remove any kind of penalty for casting spells in light armor, so that's pretty good. And then this will also increase your damage you do up to a certain amount based on how many light armor pieces you're using. So definitely pick up a few of those Evasion perks as you improve. Sneak, lockpicking, pickpocketing, we don't need that. Now, Speech is going to be really good with Imperials, and they're One of the first perks I'd actually recommend is to get Haggling. Just get this early on and you're going to be making a lot more gold, especially using the Imperial's ability, Voice of the Emperor, to buff up your speech before doing trading. You can grab Silver Tongue and also get Merchant. This lets you buy and sell any item to any trader except for stolen goods, and it also gives you a little bit 15% better selling prices. And it lets you invest in shops if you want to give them a little bit more gold to work with in the future, so that's cool. Then if you're using followers, which I do recommend, by the time you get to level 75 in speech, you can get leadership. This buffs a bunch of things for your followers, so you can read them there. It also increases their carry weight, so you can load them up with more of your loot. And I would definitely recommend picking that up as you increase your speech up. So there's a few perks there. Let's move on to alchemy, and I like to pick up these 2 points in alchemical lore right off the bat, so I know all the effects of any ingredient. That just makes it a lot easier to make potions, and that's not just effective for the effects you get from potions, but also for selling. You're going to be making a lot of gold using your Voice of the Emperor and selling those potions and poisons you make. Improved elixirs gonna boost up your potions and their effectiveness. These I would recommend regeneration. I wasn't able to get around to it, but I was planning on getting this. Catalysis, this is nice. Basically all of these alchemy perks are really strong. Concentrated poisons is also interesting. You gain a poison charge for every 20 points in alchemy, up to 6 charges total, so by the time you have 20 in alchemy, you get another charge of poison. So if I hit an enemy, like let's say I have 40 in alchemy as my skill, that gives me 2 extra charges, so I can hit an enemy 3 times, and each time it'll apply a poison before it wears off, so that's pretty cool. And definitely some of these later alchemy perks are extremely beneficial and strong, so yeah, if you're able to reach this point, definitely get these. So that's alchemy. Now illusion, this isn't as important early on. Novice tier doesn't really matter, you can pick whatever you want. But when you get to apprentice level, the #1 spell that you're gonna really want to get is called Blur. Now what Blur does is it makes it so the damage you receive from ranged attacks, like from enemy archers for example, is mitigated by a lot. And that's one of your weaknesses, like I said earlier with this build, is ranged attacks, as you don't have that much armor. And so casting Blur before you go into battle is going to be really important. Definitely pick it up and try to get to 35 in illusion. You just have to get to 35 in illusion, and then you can dual cast Blur, and it's also 30% more effective and it lasts longer. So definitely try to get illusion up to 35 as quickly as you can, just so you can dual cast Blur. Then with Conjuration, nothing, Destruction, same thing, and that's pretty much it. And that's just a quick overview of the perks, at least the way I got them. Let me know if you have some thoughts on how I could optimize this a little bit better. There's no particular order you have to go in, just go with what you're needing and what you're able to get at that time. And but definitely Restoration, Alteration, and Two-Handed are really your main skills here. Okay, you guys, that'll be it for this class guide on the War Priest. If there's any critiques or feedback you have, be sure to leave it in the comments and I'll take a look at those. And I hope that you found this useful. Maybe give this build a go. I had a great time playing it in my own series here on my channel. Be sure to check that out if you haven't seen it as well. And thank you so much for watching. I hope to catch y'all in the next video. Peace.